Hello everyone, my name is Jen and welcome to the Book Refuge. Alright friends, welcome to another recommendations video, and this one, I'm not quite going to call it an oddly specific one, but it can be a bit more of a niche term on this, but it's something that I absolutely love, okay? I love children and babies in romance. I do. It is more of like a new thing for me. Not so new anymore, but new in the past 5 years. I used to not care about reading about kids in romance, but I guess I have kind of always liked babies. I like accidental pregnancies. I don't like secret pregnancies, but I like accidental pregnancies and how that throws a wrench into things. But something else that's another level to this is when the baby maybe isn't so accidental. Maybe there's a plan to have the baby. Either they make the plan together, or maybe she makes the plan without him and is purposely trying to get pregnant. Yeah, that can be a little bit sketchy. We know. So today we're going to do one that I'm going to call these baby deal recommendations. That's probably the easiest way you'll find recommendations if you Google this or look on Reddit or something. But it's basically like when either one or both of the parties wants a baby. I even have a few where it's the man who wants the baby and not just because he needs an heir or something like that. But when one or more of them wants a baby and they go about making a deal with the other person to have it. Either have the baby and then not be involved, or have the baby and like we're going to co-parent. These are the different ways we're going to look at it. So I actually have quite a few recommendations for this one. And then I have 3 books at the end that are on my, not immediate TBR, but they're ones I want to read that have this in it. So let's go ahead and get started with Call Me Crazy by Melanie Harlo. So this is a part of one of her spin-off series from like the Cloverleaf Farms. And Call Me Crazy is, they've kind of been like frenemies or whatever, and the heroine really wants a baby. And now the hero, his family wants him to be married before he's able to like inherit the family business, I believe is how it is. And she overhears his problems, and they end up coming to an agreement that they're going to do a fake marriage. So they're going to get married for a short amount of time. However, they are going to be trying to have a baby during this time. Now, she mostly just wants to use his sperm. Like, she's willing to, just do like insemination. But they're like, well, while we're married, how about we just try to do it the real way, right? There's a lot of that in these recommendations. Like, let's try to do it the old-fashioned way. So yeah, they're going to try and do that. And so yeah, this one is a fake dating, but also, or a fake marriage of convenience, I guess, but they're also trying to make a baby while they do it. So yeah, this one I thought was really cute. I mean, Melanie Harlo's books are just always cute, so I don't really have any critiques for this one. I recommend. This is a great one. Of course, you'll be able to listen to an audiobook for this one. Melanie Harlo has audiobooks for all of her books, so dive right into this one. Another one that's along the same lines as this is Good as Gold by Serena Bowen, which I actually also listened to the audiobook for this one. This one is, our hero actually is home for the first time in a while, and he sees I can't remember if it's a best friend's like sister or what it was. I don't recall, but he lives in a different state. He owns a ski resort with his dead partner's wife, basically, and he just doesn't come around home very often because it's very painful for him to do so. But he happens to finally come home. I can't remember if it was for a funeral. It might have been for a funeral. And he has a pretty big family, and they always want to see him, but he kind of hides from them because there's a lot of baggage that goes along with it. But he sees this friend from the past, and she really wants a baby. And so she asks him to, while he's home for a few months, to be the one to get her pregnant. So he, of course, is head over heels for this woman, as it is. And so he's willing to be her sperm donor, but he also wants to be involved if they do have a baby. And she's like, of course you would be. Like, we'll co-parent the baby, but like, I really want a baby. And, it does lead to a lot of awkward of like, are you only helping me have a baby because I asked you to, or do you actually love me? Which again, is a thing that comes up with this trope. But I found this one very heartwarming, and there were times where it almost got frustrating. But I really loved these two. I don't know. There was something about them that was very sweet. So even when I was kind of wanting to like smack their heads together, I still also just thought they were sweet. So I don't know another word. I keep saying sweet there, but there you go. All right, now we have a historical here. So this is The Duchess in His Bed by Lauren Heath. And this one I think is like book 5 in this series. I think it's a good way into the series. It's book 4 or 5. And this one is the one where like she's trying to make a baby without him knowing. So we have our heroine who is a duchess. She is a very recent widow. And for her to be able to keep her like endowment, to keep herself from being like cast out, she needs to be pregnant by her dead husband. So she ends up going to this club to try to get pregnant. And so she meets Aiden Snow, and she's trying to seduce him. And so she's visiting him at a notorious club and is trying to hook up with him for a few nights in a row to try to get pregnant. So there's a bit of a game that she's playing there to try to get herself impregnated so she can pass the baby off as being her dead husband's. But of course he's going to fall for her and want the baby to be his, right? So that's what this one is about. I love Lauren Heath. This one is a part of the Sin for All Seasons, and it's actually about this family of bastards who their last name is all Snow, and their mother loved them so much because they were all children that were brought to her as like baby farming, but instead of killing the children, which is what would usually happen with the baby farms, she kept them because she loved them. So there's a whole family of them. But anyway, really good one for that. All right, then I have a fun little wrench to throw in it for you. I have The Potion Master's Baby by Snape's Goddess. Yes, this one is a fanfic, and it's one of my favorites. This is a Snape and Hermione romance, and this one, they're actually both teachers at Hogwarts. And the way that this one works out is that Hermione is trying to have a baby on her own, and she has purchased some sperm and is going to inseminate herself with it. And she has kept this collection in the refrigerator at Hogwarts. Well, it also happens that Snape is running some tests on his sperm to see, I think there was like potions he was trying out, and so he was seeing what it was doing to like his sperm count or something. I can't fully remember those details. It's not important. But the point is that he has his specimen is in the refrigerator next to Hermione's specimen that she has purchased, and she accidentally inseminates herself with the wrong specimen. And so now when she finds out she's pregnant with Snape's baby, and he's not willing to let his child just be raised without him. So she's gonna have to share that with him. So this one's pretty quick. I really enjoy these two. Look at this lovely like artwork back there. This was of course Bound for Me by Mel Bynes Fix, and you can find this one. I'll have the link to it on AO3 down below. It's a real quickie. It works out to be only like just under 200 pages. But if you want to tiptoe into some fan fiction, or you're already a longtime lover of it, give this one a try. Then we have My Baby by Taran Quinn. This one I read quite a long time ago, so we'll just kind of sprint over this one, but this one is a friends to lovers one where the hero wants a baby and he asks his friend to be the surrogate mother for it so they don't have to go through a whole plan of it. And of course, they decide to have this baby the old-fashioned way because it'll save them lots of money if they do it that way. But I liked this because I liked that he was the one who wanted the baby. And she hasn't ever really thought about it or ever really wanted it, but she's willing to, be the surrogate for it, and then she kind of wants to be in the baby's life afterwards. So there we go with that. Then we have The Villain by LJ Shen. This one is a marriage of convenience, and like there needs to be an heir. And what I liked about this one is that the hero wants this to be a very clinical insemination, right? Like he's only going to have sex with her during the time of her cycle, and like it's going to be kept very impersonal because he doesn't want to care about his wife. This is LJ Shen. He's a total jackass. But the heroine is like, no, we're not going to do it that way. I'm going to have affection from you. I'm going to have more than just when you're trying to get me pregnant. There's going to be date nights, and you're going to, earn this. Like, I'm not just going to do this just because. And so I liked that the heroine demanded what she wanted of this. This is a series I still need to finish. I still have one book left in it, and I don't know what it is. Her twisted men they still pull me in, even when I want to be like, no, why do I like this? But there's that. Okay, then we have some more historicals here. So we have The Devil is Marquez by Lisa Braden. This one is a little bit more like shaky for being a baby deal, and it's actually the like grandfather, like the father who wants this. And so in this case, we have this ne'er-do-well who is Benedict Chatham, and he has gotten himself into a bit of a trouble. So we have this American, was his name like Mr. Lancaster? I don't know. But he offers his daughter in exchange, so it'll make her a Marchioness. And her father wants a, grandchild. And he promises her that if she stays married to this man for a year, and they live like a married couple for a year, like he needs to stay in the same room as her. He also needs to remain sober for this year. He needs to try his best at running this estate for a year. Then he will make sure the guy's debts are all saved. And if after a year the woman doesn't want to stay married to him, then her father will fund her trip to the Americas and let her start fresh. So it's not really even fully a baby deal between the two of them. It's the dad who wants it to happen, and he's hoping that if they have to share a bed and if they have to consummate their marriage, that a baby will come eventually. So I just wanted to throw this one in there because this one was kind of completely, like, it's neither one of them who really wants it, but the dad does, and so he has orchestrated things to have the best possible chance of getting a grandchild out of these two, which, I love Lisa Braden. This one's one of my favorites of hers. All right, there's Darius by Grace Burrows. This is one of those that it's very similar to a Lorraine Heath that I haven't read, which will be in the books that I want to read later on. But this one is about like a male gigolo, basically, or a male. He's not fully like a sex worker, but he has at times been a companion to rich women to, keep himself flush with cash. And I mean, also, he doesn't mind it, but he is getting a bit tired being used that way. But then there is an opportunity for him to be with this very beautiful, sweet woman and try to get her pregnant for her aging husband who needs an heir. And so this is a deal made like between all of them, and she goes to stay with him and hopes to get pregnant by him. But then there's no chance for them to be together because she has a husband, right? It's never going to work out, except that it will. So this one was very angsty, but I have really loved a few of the Grace Burrows that I have read. And this was one that when I heard what it was about, I knew I had to give it a go. So I did. All right, then we have Scandal's Bride by Stephanie Lawrence. So this is another one where the woman is trying to trick the man. So I do want to warn you that there is a bit of kind of a like date rape situation in here. Okay, this is an older historical. Look at the beautiful back of this one. But in this one, we have Richard Sinster, who of course he's called Scandal. And I believe he finds out he's inherited a place. I think that's what's going on. But our heroine, Katrina Hennessy, she's the one kind of running the estate, so she doesn't really want him to come butting into it. But she is told, I think there's like, they weren't reading tarot cards, but she gets told that Scandal is going to be the father of her children, but she doesn't want to have a husband. So to have him be the father of her children but not be her husband, she basically drugs him and screws him while he's sleeping to have him get her pregnant. Now, he doesn't fully have any memory of this happening, so, it's not the nicest way to go about doing it. But of course, once he finds out, he's like, woman, you're going to be my wife and this child is mine. You are not going to take this away from me. It's not going to happen. So she wants the baby, but she doesn't want him. And so, you think that would work out well for him, but she's going to do what she has to do to get the baby and then have him leave and stay out of her business so she can run this estate on her own. So yeah, it's a bit uncomfortable at points, but it is Stephanie Lawrence, and she is telling quite the story. She sure is, for sure. There is Lord of Darkness by Elizabeth Hoyt, which I love an Elizabeth Hoyt. Love it, love it, love it. So this one I think is book 5 in the series. Yeah, this one is book 5 in the Maiden Lane series, which is one of my favorites. And so for this one, so they were wed to each other, basically as strangers. And he is one of the ghosts of St. Giles, which if you read the series, you know there's multiples of those. And Godric St. John has only one goal, and he wants to protect London. So she wants to kill the ghost of St. Giles because she blames him for murdering the love of her life. But she doesn't know that it's actually her long-lost husband, her absent husband, who is one of the ghosts of St. Giles. So there's that. So she returns to London, and it's time for them to make a baby. So she has come back home. I can't remember how many years it's been. Maybe it says in here how many years it's been. I'm not sure. It's been a few years, though, since they've been married, and they've been living in separate places. So now she comes to town, and they're going to start making a baby. And now he's having to hide the secret of the fact that he is one of the ghosts of St. Giles. And she, not understanding, the whole backstory of what's going on with the ghost of St. Giles, thinks that she needs to get revenge against whoever killed the love of her life, right? And when she goes after him and pulls a gun on him, he realizes that it's his wife who's trying to kill him. So there's a whole game with this. I love this entire series. This entire series is so good. This is one of the ones, though, that I don't actually love the cover model, even though this is absolutely beautiful, because this is supposed to be like a much older man, too. Like, I think he pretty much has like silver in his hair and everything like this. So even though this has a hot cover, it's one that, like, this could have been a silver daddy. Okay, this was a silver daddy, and we made him a hot young buck, and I just don't think we need to do that. I don't think we needed to do that, okay? But this is another one where they need to make a baby together for the bloodline, one of those. Okay, now the last one that I have read, and this one is actually a monster romance. It's a werewolf shifter romance, and this one is called The Moonblooded Breeding Clinic by CMNasta. So this is another one where the heroine wants a baby, and in this realm, she's had some fertility issues. She's actually been with like a monster before. She'd been with, I can't remember what type of husband she had before, but he wasn't really interested in children, and when their, relationship didn't work out, she's like, you know what, I'm going to try having a baby by myself. And she has a friend who her and her partner actually used the Moonblooded Breeding Clinic to have a baby, because the werewolves are much more fertile than other types of creatures. And if you are with a creature spouse and you're having problems having a baby, you could try with the werewolves, which it's supposed to be very clinical, but it still has to happen in its like natural state. So like you come in near, and you would go in and basically get, humped by the wolf and get impregnated that way. And so our heroine decides she wants to try that. But before, she gets given a dossier of all the different wolves she can choose from, and she ends up picking this one who, he's a bit of a ne'er-do-well himself. He's a bit of a wastrel. He actually is back at home because, so this was written during the pandemic, and they kind of put the pandemic into the story just a little bit in the way that, like, he had been working overseas, he was a photographer, and when a lockdown happened, he was forced to go home, and then he hasn't been able to go back because everything's been locked down. And so since he's at home and doesn't have a job, he signs up for one of these breeding clinics because he's like, sure, I would fuck a child into a woman. That sounds great. Let's do it. And when our heroine picks him out of the dossier, they decide to meet up a few times first and realize that I have really great chemistry. And maybe they do want to try for a baby, but maybe they want to do it as a couple and not as a sterile, he's coming in and humping you for it. Maybe. So this one was actually really fun. CMNasta definitely gets very unique with some of her stories, for sure. So now I have 3 that I want to read that are baby deals. So there is, of course, The Hot Cop by Lauren Blakeley. So this was one I actually have it signed by both Lauren Page and Sierra Simone. I got it signed at Book Bonanza. And this one straight up is that she wants to get married, and Laura Ward, and so she asks Officer Chase Kelly to be the one to fuck a baby into her. and I need to read this one so badly. I have not got to it yet, but I was actually gifted this one too. It was sent to me from Annabelle, and I have it signed by both of them, so I definitely want to get around to this one, see what the baby making in that one's about. Then there's the one that I'm sure some of you have even already written down below before I even got to it, is Waking Up with the Duke by Lorraine Heath. So this is the one that I said that Darius is a lot like this one. This one I have heard, it is infamous in my historical romance reading friends realm, because I know this one is about Ransom Seymour owes a debt to a friend, and this friend is actually paralyzed, and he cannot make a baby with his wife because of this, and his line like needs an heir, and so he asks his wife to go stay with him for a while until she becomes pregnant. Now, they aren't supposed to do anything. There's no kissing and no pleasure involved. He's just supposed to make her pregnant, and she doesn't want to have any feelings for him, but you know, of course it's not quite going to work out the way that she wants it to, for sure. But I know this one is absolutely heartbreaking and people love it so much. And I've had it in my collection for literal years now, and I've been afraid to read it. But someday it will happen. Someday I will lose my fear and I will dive headfirst into it. I also think I was trying to read the first one in this series, which I maybe have now. Yes, I have read the first one in this series, so I don't have any excuse. It's time to read this one. And then there's also The Knocked Up Plan by Lauren Blakeley. I really enjoy Lauren Blakeley, so I'm sure that I will have a great time with this one as well. I don't know if this one is friends who want to get knocked up or what it is. I just know that this one showed up on a bunch of lists, and I like Lauren Blakeley, so I put it in my video. So there you go. There is a bunch of recommendations and a few from my TBR that include a baby deal where baby making is the plan. And yeah, I hope you will give some of these a go. Let me know some of your favorites. Please tell me if there's any that I missed, because this is one that, again, I know that I read it in more places than I think I do, but it's sometimes hard to track it down because it's not like listed as a baby deal, you know? That's the trouble that I get into with some of these oddly specific things, is like finding the words people use to explain it can be difficult. So yeah. But anywho, there we go. Those are my recommendations for this one. Make sure you're subscribed to the channel. We're almost about to hit 20K, which is amazing. And yeah, thank you for supporting the channel. I have an entire playlist of oddly specific recommendations and another playlist with over 300 recommendation videos, so please check that out. Thanks so much for watching, friends, and we'll see you next time.